I have a
Sucrose,
I have a
Xiao, Kazuha. I'll be breaking down Kazuha's kit into easy to understand chunks, roles he might be able to fill, and help you decide if he is right for you. If you're new here, hello, I'm Hushings. I suck at the game, so I compensate with knowledge. Subscribe for knowledge! Here is everything you need to know about Kazuha. Sit back, relax, and if you are feeling particularly good, please smash that like button. I appreciate your support very much. First thing first, hold on to this salt shaker, you might need it. Kazuha's name means a wilderness of maple and 10,000 leaves. This pretty Inazuma boy even has the prettiest name. And please, maple exists outside of Canada, right? Look at this beautiful Japanese maple and this pretty Inazuma boy next to it. Now, if you want to roll for the maple boy, please listen carefully. He won't be a good DPS carry until his Constellation 6 is unlocked. After all, he is a gentle and carefree soul who is apparently also selfless and would rather make everyone else on your team shine brighter than ever than taking the spotlight for himself. He also has some interesting scaling issues if built as a DPS. He scales with Elemental Mastery instead of crits or Elemental Damage bonus, which makes his support capabilities better but not very useful as, say, a physical DPS. As of right now, he is intended to be a damage boosting support for elemental teams or a sub DPS until his C6 is unlocked, which transcends him into the carry role, but more on that later. Now, I'm not saying he can't be played as your main DPS at C0. I'm saying he might not do very well when compared to the likes of Hu Tao, Xiao, or Ganyu, but he is definitely capable as a burst DPS. Anyways, one of the most flashy things about Kazuha it's got to be his double jump with his skill. Yes, double jump, how cool is that? You can use his skill on the ground or in the air for maximum style points. It pulls enemies and objects toward the center, then launches them into the air while lifting Kazuha up as well. And right here is where you can use his special plunge attack. This special plunge attack is infused with Anemo, and when it hits the ground, it generates a vortex that works like the passive effect of the Viridescent Hunt. And with his first Ascension passive, if the skill itself is infused with one of these elements, it does a nice chunk of extra damage of the infused element as plunging attack damage. And this skill into plunge attack combo does so much damage, partly because Kazuha has one of the highest plunge attack multiplier in the game. To put this into perspective, Sucrose's skill only does this much damage, and the cooldown is 15 seconds. Kazuha does over twice that every 6 seconds with his mini combo, or 9 seconds if you held his E for a bit more burst damage. And with his first constellation, the cooldown of his skill is reduced by 10%, and using his ult resets his skill cooldown, allowing him to do even more damage. Though I would say this constellation is more geared towards carry Kazuha, as you usually don't want your supports to spend too much time doing their job. But C1 is necessary to unlock his C2, which I think is the most broken, ridiculous constellation on a support ever, but more on that in just a bit. If you like this maple boy and are considering pulling for him, comment Kazuha come home and I'll personally wish you good luck. Anyways, the name of his special plunge attack means to weave and stop chaotic mists or winds, and Galio blade work means he's an edgy boy who came up with his own sword techniques. And his skill is named as a reference to a classic Japanese story, I think. I am not very sure about this one. If you know what it means, let me know in the comments below. Now, onto his ult, which means slash of 10,000 leaves. He uses his edgy boy technique to slash in front of him and creates this beautiful Anemo field of maple leaves that lasts for 8 seconds. And it even changes color depending on the element you swirled. And speaking of swirls, this is where the Maple Boy's Elemental Mastery scaling comes into play, along with his A4 passive. You see, upon triggering a swirl reaction for the next 8 seconds, Kazuha grants some elemental damage bonus to the teammates of the element he swirled for every point of elemental mastery he has. For example, if you have 600 elemental mastery on Kazuha, but please don't actually build like this, you will lose so much damage on Kazuha himself otherwise as diminishing returns kicks in. So if you have 600 EM on Kazuha, and say you swirled Pyro, all of your Pyro characters on your team now have an extra 18% damage bonus. This also makes his C2 absolutely broken for support Kazuha. This specific constellation gives Kazuha a whopping 200 elemental mastery upon casting his ult, which means he will be giving even more damage to your carries. But it doesn't just stop there. Characters within the field also receive 200 elemental mastery. This constellation basically lets you cheat by allowing you to run Kazuha and Sucrose in one single character slot. And because Kazuha is sharing elemental damage bonus instead of elemental mastery, unlike Sucrose who could only work with reaction teams, this Maple Boy could also work with pure elemental teams and freeze teams on top of reaction teams. And we haven't even gotten to his own damage yet. And yes, this Maple Boy can deal damage, this much more than Venti to be precise. Does he take more time to deal his damage? Yes. Is he harder to build because he has an extra stat to consider? Absolutely. Is Venti still the best at crowd control? There's no doubt. But does Kazuha fill unique roles that no one else can? 100%. So what are these unique roles? Well, most importantly, he's a graceful samurai with a freaking katana. Do I need to say more? But in all seriousness, he would work in any team that you wish could run Venti. But Venti laughs in your face, says no, and trolls you. As Kazuha has some pretty good crowd control built in, but doesn't suck everything 10 feet off the ground. He could also work as the main DPS with Chongyun or C6 Bennett. I'm working day and night to figure out Kazuha's best team and builds, so subscribe if you want to catch that. For now, just know that he offers some utility and damage that Venti or Sucrose cannot, and would fit in a lot of teams. But say you really like this Maple Boy and want him to be your main carry, here are some options. You can build him into a physical DPS, which is fine, but would probably not be very good. A reaction enabler with Chongyun or C6 Bandit, which might actually work. An Anemo burst DPS to go with a quick swap team in which you spam buttons and profit. C0 is more than enough, or if you go all out and shoot for a C6, he becomes an amazing carry and enabler, as it converts Kazuha's attacks into Anemo after using his skill or ult, and most importantly, gives him extra damage to his normal, charge, and plunge attacks based on the amount of elemental mastery he has. His earlier constellations also synergizes and feeds into this constellation to make it even stronger. With an EM Sans and some substats, he can casually get 90% additive damage to his attacks. But remember, don't spend money you cannot afford to spend. Kazuha is just a bunch of pixels that line up beautifully on your screen. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!